killed. And so how do we deal with this? Well, we've learned in other instances how to deal with these kind of problems when the industry is abusing us. For instance, 60 years ago, when the automobile industry began to abuse customers, you know, you go in for a $6 oil change 60 years ago, and you go to pick up your car. They say, well, it's $300. You say, why? That's my month's wages. What do you mean, $300? Well, you told us to do whatever is necessary, and so we rebuilt your transmission, we rebuilt your carburetor, we gave you all new tires, we rotated them, we put in new brake shoes, new spark plugs, we gapped them, we did your timing, $300. And you kicked the counter and yelled and screamed, but in the end, you paid your $300. Well, people got tired of that, and so they started going to flea markets and junkyards and garage sales looking for parts for their car. And after a while, the demand for these parts and tools at garage sales and flea markets and junkyards became so great, these sources couldn't handle the demand anymore, so a whole industry popped up. How many of you have heard of Napa Auto Parts and Pep Boys and AutoZone and Schutz? And because now you can walk in, you can get any part you want, you can get any tool you want for working on your own car. This has turned out to be a huge industry. And that's because the automobile industry got greedy some 60 years ago, and now more and more people do it themselves. And the same thing happened in the construction industry. When it got to the point where they were charging little couple $60 to change the float in the toilet and $200 to change the light bulb, and little couples would sign a contract for a $6,000 roof, but they didn't point out to them that there's a rotating interest thing, a revolving interest thing, and if you didn't pay it in a year, it cost you $100,000. And all these horror stories came out, so people began to go to junkyards and garage sales and flea markets looking for materials and tools to maintain and repair their own homes. How many remember back in the 50s and 60s when everybody had a table saw and a band saw and routers and all these tools, and you turn your garage into a shop and everybody began to do things themselves? Well, soon these sources couldn't supply the demand anymore, so a whole industry developed to supply the demand for people who want to maintain and repair their own homes. They're called Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards, and if you don't know how to put shingles on your own roof, they'll give you a free class. Okay? Well, it's long overdue that we rebel in the same way against the healthcare industry. We need to do more and more ourselves. With a little bit of education, 15 minutes of reading a night, listening to tapes or CDs in your drive around your car. In any particular instance, with 15 minutes of reading, you can do whatever a doctor does. It's that simple. For instance, a doctor has less than $100 worth of stuff in his examining room. He's got a blood pressure cuff, a stethoscope, he's got a thermometer, a little rubber mallet to see if you have reflexes. Well, if you walk in the examining room, I know you got reflexes. Now, if they carry in, I might want to test them, but if you walk in on your own, you're singing and dancing, I don't have to worry about that too much. They have a little AAA battery pen light, they look in your eyes and down your throat with, and that was given to them by some salesman for a pharmaceutical company. You can jerk it out of their pocket and look at it, and you'll say, oh, look at that, Pfizer. Okay? So they have less than $100 worth of stuff. You can go to a pharmacy or a grocery store and buy all that stuff yourself without a prescription. With the exception of ultrasound and radiation and CAT scans and MRIs, you can get just about any test that a doctor would send you to a lab or a hospital for. For instance, you can go and you can buy a little bottle of test strips to find out what your blood sugar and blood cholesterol is. You can get little test strips to find out if you have blood or sugar in your urine. You can get test strips to find out if you have blood in your bowel movement to do a screen for colon cancer and ulcerative colitis and maybe gastric ulcers. You can find out if you're pregnant or not. For $19.95, you can get a little test strip, you pee on it, and you find out if you're pregnant or not. 30 seconds, honey, I'm pregnant, kind of thing, right? 30 seconds, $19.95. You don't have to go get a physical exam, get a blood test, they charge you $150, and then you got to come back in 3 days for another $150 visit, so it winds up being like $500 to find out if you're pregnant or not. You can do it for $19.95. The one that I really find disgusting are the fertility clinics. You have to pay $25,000 up front before they even talk to you, because they might slip and give you a little information. So before the doctor will see you, you got to pay your $25,000, and then they'll start talking to you about what they can do to help you in a situation of infertility. Well, they want you to believe that they are the holders of all knowledge in this. Well, back when I was a kid, my dad only, 60 years ago, my dad only had a 4th grade education, and he knew how to artificially inseminate cattle back then. It was not a new thing. We've been doing it livestock for 75 years. Maybe longer than that in research, but out in the field practicing, any farmer could do AI or artificial insemination themselves. And, with a $2.95 basting syringe and a condom to collect semen, you can do it yourself for less than $5. So when a doctor starts telling you how technical this stuff is, you can just sort of smile at him and say, okay, doc, let's move forward here.